All right, Shannon, we're going to get into some underrated, overrated today.
Okay.
All
All right.
right. And I'm going to start with NFL teams this year. So
Okay.
I'm gonna name the team, and you tell me if you think that they're underrated, overrated, or they're rated correctly. All
Okay.
right,
All right.
all right.
All right.
Number one, let's start with the Super Bowl champs, the Los Angeles Rams.
They overrated.
Overrated.
Yeah. I think Matt Stafford, one, I'm questioning whether or not he's healthy. Really. And he has not looked consistent at all. Um Yeah, the Rams are looking definitely overrated. I think they're also struggling too. I mean, I think they missed really having another receiver during the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Take away from Cooper Cup. Odell, which,
And
he's not there.
they say they're not even giving him a nice deal, so he might not be going back there.
I don't think I don't think he's going back there. And so yeah, I definitely think which I saw this actually. Odell, didn't he get? Ain't he going to the Vikings or something like that?
Oh, I don't know. I just remember hearing that. Last I heard,
I
they
think
said
so.
that,
But anyway, they're missing
he was like the money that they offered him was not sufficient. So
yeah, I mean, I think he added a different dimension to their game, and then their defense is not. Von Miller left and went to the Bills. Their line has been struggling. They just do not look like the team of last year, and so yeah, they're definitely overrated.
Okay, all right. Number two, let's go with Brady's camp, Tampa Bay.
Overrated. Look, it's time for Tom to hang it up. And it's a shame because, dude, you made the choice to come back at 45 because you had some goal to play at 45. And you may have lost your entire family, dude. Y'all line sucks. They overrated. I really want Tom to go to the house and try to repair his
family.
Yeah, man, try to repair it. You know what I mean? Try to
Tom, he went home with them kids for 2 weeks and was like,
I can't do this. I'm good. I can't take it at all. I cannot take it. And
they say Giselle, she a witch, she got power, so yeah, that's probably why they suck, because
she like, really? All right, bet. Watch this.
Yeah. Did you hear that interview he did when he said that she like would put up an altar for him and pray for him for the games, and like he would ask her, how are we gonna do, and she would be like, no, this ain't your season, and they wouldn't have a good season, and then yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. It's an interview. Yeah.
Oh, I ain't see that.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, she didn't put a voodoo spell on his ass. He better put that football down and go home and try to repair. Because let me tell you something else. His life ain't gonna never be the same. I didn't know she was into witchcraft, man. That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother level. But yeah. Overrated. Overrated.
Fine too. Like, what are you doing, bro? She's fine. Like, what are you doing?
He like all them other great sports athletes that just can't walk away. They can't see they can't see their life. I don't know what else to do. This is all I've ever known to do, and I don't know how to hang it up. Hang that shit up and move on. Overrated.
Right. Okay. All right. All right. Next, I'm gonna go with Baltimore Ravens.
Man, I think Baltimore is rated appropriately. Unfortunately, they've had a lot of mistakes, and this isn't all on Lamar. I put a lot of this on Harbaugh.
They've been up 20.
Oh my God!
Twice, right?
Almost every game they've been up double digits, and they've lost. And so some of that's the defense, some of that's the play calling. Yeah, Lamar this last game threw a pick. Made a bad decision, doing stuff. He's forcing it, trying to make it happen. And that's not what he normally does. He's normally a better decision maker in those situations. But their line hasn't been well. Their O-line hasn't been well. Their defense has been worn down. And to me, they're just not running the ball enough. And Harbaugh's made a lot of crucial play calls. Like there's times when he should have went for a field goal that he didn't. It's just right now I think they rated appropriately. I think they get their act together. And we'll see later on in the season, but I can't say they're overrated or underrated. I do think
Okay.
this is a solid football team. They just got to get it together. I mean, yeah, they was up by 21 points, 20 points, I think 10 points, and maybe 13 points, like four games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're I think they're rated appropriately. I think they'll settle in. And the division that they're playing in, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll still make the playoffs. I don't think they're overrated or underrated. They're
Okay.
properly rated right now. There's no need to panic. I think Harbaugh get the guys to respond and tighten up. So
Okay. All right. Let's see. How about Denver? Denver Broncos.
overrated. Jeez,
Ooh.
Russ. Oh my God. And it's sad because this is a young group of players on offense. They have a good, solid defense. Like their defense is actually really good, and they have a good young core of offensive players with Judy.
Mm-hmm.
And but Russ has not looked like himself, and I don't know if this is coaching, play calling,
Mm-hmm.
especially the controversial thing was a couple of weeks ago when he threw the ball on the 1 yard line. It's like, dude, you didn't learn during the Super Bowl that year. You should have gave the
Just
ball to
walk it.
Marshawn Lynch.
Right.
What most people don't know is that it was a designed throw call, right? And so some of this is coaching. I do think because it's a new coach there, the coach from the Green Bay Packers, one of the coordinators there now is the head coach. And I just think they need a little bit more time to get used to each other in that offense. But their defense is good. Their
Okay.
defense has arrived, and I just refuse to believe that Russ is just falling off the cliff this way. And I don't know if it's just pressure, right? He's trying to, which he's proven that he's responded in pressure, but I also think they're not running the appropriate plays for him, right? I think Russ is his best when he's scrambling and creating, and he's just been holding the ball too long and standing in the pocket, and it looks bad. It looks real bad for him. And so I'm gonna say that the Broncos are overrated, but people didn't come in really thinking. There were a lot of people who did not think that they would do well in their division anyway,
Okay.
because of the other people, I'm sorry, the other teams
Other
in
team.
the AFC. So
Yeah.
I think they are overrated though, considering I think most people expected for them to respond a lot better with Russ, especially
Mm-hmm.
with the young core of athletes they have on their offense. But it's not looking good in Denver. Not at all. It ain't looking good for the Broncos.
All right. And the last one I'm going to do is one that surprised me is the New York Giants. Ain't they
Man, the
like
New
6
York
and
team.
1?
Yo,
6
yeah, I think they're 6-1. Matter of fact, I think both the Giants and the Jets. I want to say, I think the Jets. I want to say, yeah, but either way, both New York teams are doing really well. Um, and yeah, that's surprising. I was talking about this with actually some coworkers at work, and I was like, who would have thought that
Yeah.
the New York teams would actually be good this year? But I think a lot of that is because of the coach Daboll being there, which is prior coordinator from the Bills. I think he brings a different energy and leadership there at the Giants. I think they respect him. He understands the players. He knows how to use them and get the best out of them. So I think it starts with the coach, and then I also think that Saquon Barkley being healthy has definitely helped with their run game.
Okay.
Daniel Jones has looked good because the run game's been going, and they solid on defense. I mean, they just playing good football. And I've always, not that I was a Giants fan, but I can say that the Giants had some good years. But we talking over 10 years ago, right?
Right.
And the Jets, to me, have always, even going back to Mark Sanchez when they thought that they would go
Right.
far. I always thought the
Yeah.
Jets is like the stepchild of New York, much like how people always view the Clippers and the Lakers, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, I, who would have thought, right? And so for the Giants, I'm gonna say, I think they're underrated, and I think people are gonna find out. I think they're a solid football team, and I think it starts with the coaching and they really being able to put together a package that they have. Now, how deep they'll go in the playoffs, it's tough to say because the NFC East is really good. I do not have them beating or winning that division at all, or I'm sorry, that conference in the NFC East. Well, the division. I don't have them winning the NFC East, and because of that, I don't know they'll get a good seeding to be favorable enough for them to get deeper in the playoffs.
Okay.
Because ultimately, I think the Eagles are going to wind up winning the NFC East. But you didn't ask me about the Eagles, so
I was gonna say the NFC East is good. It must be the Eagles and what, the Cowboys? Because
so it's the Eagles, it's the Giants, and then the Cowboys. Of course, the Commanders at the bottom of the list, but I think they got some of that Giselle juju going on because I think the Commanders are cursed.
Yeah,
Dan Snyder needs to sell the team. But
I saw somebody in the stands with a sign that says "Sell the team."
Yo, they've been having that sign in the stands for the past 5 years. They need to sell. Yes, people are begging him to sell the damn team. I mean, he has even some of his minority partners like sell the damn team, right? I mean, it's just I that's a whole nother.
Speaking of that, right quick, I saw that did Jerry Jones get sued? Did you see that?
Sued by his alleged daughter or sued by
some woman for sexual.
Oh yeah. So yes. Yeah, I heard that. They came out with that and then I didn't hear no more about it. So I don't know. I know he also has some controversy because there's some alleged child that he has, and
yeah, that's what they're saying why Dan's not selling, because he's like, he got so much dirt on these other players. I mean, on these other owners.
But you know what? They just had their NFL fall conference, I think last week, and some of the owners are now there's some rumblings. There's some grumblings actually that yeah, it may be time for him to sell. So we'll see if there's enough pressure being applied by some of these other owners.
Right. Yeah, you can't fall out with the good old boys, man.
Yeah, I think they're starting to see that it's a bad look overall
for the whole league.
Yeah, I mean, this guy should have been gone. I mean, he pretty much, so not only with the whole sexual harassment stuff going on, right? Which that in and of itself is ridiculous because of how long they're saying. I mean, and you had over years people coming out and saying that the environment was toxic. Right. It's unsafe for women. And which is part of the reason why he's like, oh, well, I'll turn some of it over to my wife, so now she can manage the day-to-day, all of this, right? That's all a farce. That's smoke and mirrors. And then he hired a woman coach, right? A woman assistant coach, which, hats off to her, King. I can't remember her first name, but yeah, she's good. She's respected. But it's time for him to sell the team. Bottom line is, because I think now the owners, because you do know that there's a pot of money that goes in, and then the revenue for the NFL, and then the revenues are shared. Like when a visiting team comes to a home team, they still take that ticket sales and they divvy that up amongst the other teams.
I didn't know that.
Dan Snyder was on the board who oversees those funds. Do you know he had cooked the books? So he was taking money from some of the other owners?
What?
So when they come to play when people were coming to play the Commanders, as they're called now, he had skimmed them because each team keeps those books separately, right? Let me back up. Each team accounts for it separately on their books, and they take that revenue from when that team had came to visit their team, and they send them their portion of the money, because that's how it's broken down. He was skimming some of that money to keep for him. So when he should have been giving money to the visiting team, he was keeping some of that money. If that ain't enough, if he messing with y'all pockets, if that ain't enough to get rid of, I mean, it should be enough for him to do all the other stuff as well, where they should feel like,
come on, that's like, yeah.
The dude's a snake, and
fraud.
He should, and a fraud, and he should have been. So, I mean, Anyway, most people say he shouldn't have even had the team because he didn't have any. But I mean, he inherited it. So I mean, what can you do? But yeah. So anyway, I know we went on a tangent with that, but yeah, but yeah, it's the Eagles who's still undefeated. It's the Giants who've lost 1, and it's the Cowboys who've lost 2, which most people thought that the Cowboys would lose more with Cooper Rush playing as the backup quarterback for 4 games. And he was at least able to get them by while Dak Prescott was out. So,
all right,
I think the Eagles win the NFC East, but we'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, that was good. We'll check in maybe when we get to the end of the season and see how those teams kind of fared out if your ratings were on point or not. So all right.
Right. All right, cool.